Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today I decided to do a video about Astral Alchemist Stone, basically because I get so many questions about this new trinket. It's one of the trinkets that's actually upgradable to 935 with patch 7.3. So a lot of people are wondering, 935 is probably one of the highest item level trinkets you might get. Like, I mean, 930 trinkets are dropped in Mythic. So how does this compare to the Mythic trinkets? How does it compare to every other trinket in the game? Is it worth for me to get it? The short answer for this is kind of. I mean, this is a very good starting trinket. If you just level the healer, if your character just dinged, you don't do mythics, this can be a very decent trinket to start off. Now, to go more into detail about what it actually does, so it gives you 1345 versatility at 935. When you heal or deal damage, you have a chance to for an int proc for 10,000 intellect for 15 seconds. Massive int proc, long duration, which is very decent. And then it also, on top of that, it has increases the effect that healing and mana potions have on the wearer by 40%. So this is a mana regen portion of the trinket itself. So yes, three things. First of all, versatility. Usable by like 4 of the healing classes. Very decent stat for things like Holy Paladin, Resto Shaman, Resto Druid, and Mistweaver Monk. It's one of the primary stats or secondary stats for those classes. The equip is where the problem lies. Why is this trinket really kind of... It might be really... If you do spreadsheets, it might be ranked quite high. The reason for this is that it doesn't account for the fact, or a lot of spreadsheets might not account for the fact that int proc can be wasted. If you waste that proc, let's say it procs when you're doing nothing, when there's no damage incoming in the raid, that is a huge negative effect towards the trinket. So if you end up wasting the proc, the trinket goes down in value by a massive amount. Now, I'm not a fan of proc chance trinkets, but there are fights where the proc chance might not be wasted. It might be harder to use. For example, for fights like Maidens, it's most likely going to be very decent. Sisters of the Moon, there's a lot of incoming damage for most of the fight. Desolate Host in the Spirit Realm, there is a very decent, especially during the AoE phases. The AoE phases themselves last for a minute each. You probably get 2 or 3 of those if you do Mythic Desolate Host. The trinket could be very useful there, and maybe possibly Demonic Inquisition. There are some RNG pads. For example, what if your trinket procs when you actually have to go inside the cage in that Demonic Inquisition? That's a wasted trinket proc completely. So the whole strength of the trinket comes down from the proc itself. I'm not a fan of proc trinkets, especially trinket where most of value comes from the proc, like it's 10,000 intellect. But I mean, it can be very useful for some fights, and it's definitely a very decent starting trinket. Now, let's look at the mana portion. So it provides 40% additional mana from your mana potions. If you end up using Laythorn potion, which gives you around 240,000 mana, you'll get 96,000 mana back. That's if you actually sit down for the full 10 seconds and you full channel the potion. Now, 96,000 mana it's not going to blow away any expectations when you think about the mana regen trinket. If you use the normal ancient mana trinket, ancient mana potion, you get around 60 to 67,000 mana, which again is not a crazy amount. If you're using this trinket purely for the mana regen, don't. If you're using this trinket just to save mana, it's not a really amazing mana regen trinket. If you are stuck with mana, especially if you're Resto Druid, because Resto Druids seem to be using Darkmoon Deck Promises the most out of any healing class out there. Darkmoon Deck Promises is the best mana regen trinket, and it provides you with stable intellect, not a proc. Like from my own checking on WoW Analyzer and things like that, I found out that for a fight that's around 7 to 8 minutes, I will get around 350 to 400,000 mana back. So that's almost half of my mana in a fight. Now that's compared to 96,000 that Astral Alchemist Stone gives. It's actually nothing. It really is nothing. Darkmoon Deck Promises is the mana regen trigger. Like for example, for my Mr. Sajin kill, it was around 8 minutes. I saved 412,000 mana. For my Mythic Maiden of Vigilance kill, which was around 5 minutes and 40 seconds, it saved me 362,000 mana. You have to, like, if you are using a trinket purely for mana purposes, Darkmoon Deck is your choice. If you don't have that many mana issues, and if you're doing fights that I mentioned where an intellect or any proc trinket could be useful for those fights, where there is incoming damage for like 90% of the fight. So that means you're not really gonna waste it as much, the proc chance. Like I said, fights like Sister, Desolate Host, Maidens, and things like that. You can try out this trinket. This trinket is definitely, like I said, it's not hugely reliable. There are fights where it can work. It's a good starting trinket. It can be a decent throughput trinket as well. It's not reliable. That's the biggest problem. If you're using it on specific fights where there's a lot of incoming damage, it can be very decent. Like for me, I used the spreadsheet and it actually ranked quite high on my spreadsheet. That's one of the reasons for that is because maybe it's not accounting for the fact that, you know, you might waste the proc. But like I said, about 50% of the fights on Tomb of Sargeras might enable this trinket to actually do really well. What I suggest, don't use this trinket on progression unless you're sure you're not going to waste the proc. If you need the mana, use Darkmoon Deck Promises. Darkmoon Deck Promises is the #1 mana regen trinket at the moment. But Astral Alchemist Stone overall, not a bad option for certain fights. So thank you for watching this little guide about the new trinket. Let me know how you feel about Astral Alchemist Stone, if you crafted it, if you're using it, how are your proc rates looking, and things like that. And thank you for watching the video again, and I'll see you in my next little guide.